Hi, everybody. Erica here from In the Company of Cards. Welcome back. If you've been here before, if you're new, welcome. I use Lenormand, Lenormand to read about the issues of the day. I use my own deck. If you'd like to learn how to read the cards the way I read them, get my book. The channel is called In the Company of Cards. The book is called The Language of Lenormand. It is just like having me sit next to you. I mean, the voice is as friendly, except it's not raspy when you read the book, but it's a really friendly way to learn the cards. If you'd rather learn French at the same time, or if you're already fluent in French, read the French version. You can get it on Amazon.fr for France. So that's really cool. Um, I just wanted to come on and say hi and look at a couple of questions. These will be, I think, mostly viewer questions from the last video, people who left questions for me. But before I do that, I just wanted to say a couple of words about Juneteenth. The first is that, as predicted, I said that 47 would not mark the occasion. He spoke on it in an insulting way, as you may have heard. He said, "Oh, we have too many holidays." Okay. Uh, so I guess the too many holidays that we have would be Martin Luther King Day and Juneteenth. So, he's just predictable, right? In terms of my own thoughts on Juneteenth, I took the day off yesterday, obviously, because you didn't see me here. I have very mixed feelings about the holiday. On the one hand, every occasion and opportunity that Black people have to celebrate our creativity and our beauty and our wisdom and our strength and our um, uh, just our magic. I am happy to seize the occasion. However, I do have to say, I find it a little ironic uh, because what are we really commemorating? We're commemorating the day when the very last slaves heard that they were no longer slaves because the news had been kept from them for 2.5 years after emancipation. So, I mean, it's a shameful day for white America. I mean, it should be, right? So, I mean, to my way of thinking, if I had anything to do with it, every day, 365 days a year, 24/7, Black people would be celebrating themselves. And on Juneteenth, if no other day but Juneteenth, that should be like a day of atonement and reparations for people who are not Black. But, I'm not in charge of holidays. So if you enjoyed yesterday, good. Uh, 47 also said that Americans feel that we have too many days off. What Americans is he talking about? Maybe his corporate buddies who had to give employees the day off yesterday. Anyway, it really is a sober, somber day. It should be for white people. And for us Black people, any opportunity we can take to celebrate, I say, laissez rouler les bons temps. Let the good times roll. Okay. So now these questions, as always, are in no particular order. They're just in order of how people ask me them or in order of how they came to me. The first one is just came to me. I was about to boot up the computer to come on with you all, and then a headline flashed across the transom saying that 47 said that Harvard has acted appropriately in, the whole litigation thing with him. and that a deal is in the works. Okay, what? That's not what I think. I think Harvard met him and raised him. Isn't that what he calls see it and raise you? I don't play cards, but I see you and I raise you. Harvard stepped right back to him in his face. And now he has to back down. So he's saying Harvard acted appropriately. How did Harvard act appropriately in his estimation? And Columbia, who bent the knee, didn't, because Columbia is still being harassed. So I think that he got his arm twisted by Harvard and he's saying uncle. That's what I think. But we'll see. Let's ask the cards. So, what did 47 mean when he said Harvard acted appropriately and a deal is in the works? I'll let Spirit pull all the cards on this one. Okay. Okay. Mhm, mhm, mhm. I knew it. Okay. We have the mice, we have the cross, we have you know who, we have the stork, and we have the star. I love this. So let me put them down and then talk about it one by one. I don't even need clarifiers for this. He is scared. No matter what he does, they will best him every time. I mean, look, even if he took their accreditation away, said you can't have any foreign students, well, whatever he said, Harvard will come out on the right side of things. He's afraid of their power. He realizes that he's been beaten. This has caused him pain. But what he's trying to do, right, is play it off, right? Like, they acted appropriately. Things are better now, you know, because he's afraid of moving forward with this and what it will mean for him in the future, just in terms of, you know, money, resources, reputation. He cannot win against Harvard. That's why I got my ring on. Now I'm gonna tell you what, uh, if I find out something different, like they bent the knee too, well, I would be very disappointed and I would definitely be taking off my ring. But that's not what the cards say. The cards say that he has been bested. Their hand beat his hand. And he's trying to save face by saying, oh, they've acted appropriately. Yeah, they acted appropriately. They kicked you dead in your teeth. So just saying, love that for them. Love that for us. So, uh, all right, that just makes me really happy. Okay. Uh, the other questions. So here's one. Before we get into the thing that's on everybody's mind, here's a question that a viewer had about the royal family, British royal family. And the question was, would Charles reconcile with Harry before it's too late? We know Charles is ill, so, before, and he's old, so before he passes, will he reconcile with Harry? My personal opinion, which apparently some of you do care about, may differ from the cards. I don't know what the cards will say, but I will say that I read that book, Spare. If you've not read it, you should. It was searing, just searing. Um, and when I think like Harry, as an empath, I can do that. I can put myself in people's places. I know how they're feeling. When I think like Harry, Harry didn't want to live the kind of life he would have had to live without Meghan. as the second fiddle, who then, as the children are born, becomes the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth fiddle, as William and Kate had children. Of course, Harry moves down in the line of succession. He is the spare. I mean, that's the name of the book, Spare. And you may think that you would like the life of a spare. Make me a spare. I'll take that. Mm-mm. I don't think it's what you think it is. I think it's a miserable existence. That said, let me now put myself in Charles and William's shoes. That book and those interviews had the potential to detonate a bomb that would explode the monarchy. In terms of people really saying to themselves what a lot of people in Britain do, which is, wait, why are we supporting these guys again? Like, why are we? Why? Why are they living such opulent lives and I can't even pay my rent on my flat? Um, you know, the relevancy of the monarchy has been a sort of a story that we've heard about for a while, certainly even since prior to Elizabeth passing. But everybody loved Elizabeth, so that wasn't really said out loud. But at this point, and the stories that Harry had to tell in that book, which were probably all true, just speak to an institution that is nothing if not anachronistic. And to welcome Harry back in, I, from William's point of view, certainly, and probably Charles's too, would be dangerous. And the thing is, think about it. In the royal family, I mean, brothers have killed brothers, sisters have killed sisters. It's all about keeping the monarchy intact. So, I guess as Americans want to say, oh, can't you all just bury the hatchet? You're all family. Can't you just be blood together and get over this little hump? It's not a little hump. It's not. I mean, that's why the royal family is called, the monarchy is called the firm, because it's not so much that it's a family, it's an enterprise. It's an international colonialist, imperialist enterprise. And, if you want to keep that thing going, you can't have people like Harry and Meghan talking smack. Now, I'm Team Meghan and Team Harry, so just so you know. But I get the reluctance, we'll say, or the intransigence on the part of William and Charles to welcome Harry back in. William just doesn't want to. And Charles, I think, is afraid. What if he does? And what if Harry goes and, sells their conversations to the highest bidder one more time? I mean, so I guess what we want to know is, will there be a reconciliation before it's too late? And I'll let Spirit pick all the cards for that too. Yeah. No, you know what? I'm going to use the house, and we'll call it the House of Windsor. And the question is, will the House of Windsor, um, will the members of the House of Windsor, meaning Harry and Meghan, be reconciled with the other people in the House of Windsor, meaning Charles and William? So let's use the house, the House of Windsor. Thank you all so much for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting. I read all your comments. I don't have time to like hit a like on each one, but I read them all, rest assured. Um, we'll comment here and there, but I love the I love the interaction amongst you all on the platform. So we've created this little community, and I'm thrilled. And we are at 33,700, so 300 more, and we'll be at 34,000. That's amazing in a year. Okay, so this is the House of Windsor. Mm. Well, you know what? Interesting. These are interesting cards. So we have the tree, we have the book, we have the House of Windsor, we have the coffin, and we have the lily. Now, um, let me say that, this breach has been for a while, right? I mean, Lilibet has never even been to England, so it's been a while. But this is also the card of, it's a family card as much as the house is, but this is the card of generations of family, right? And essentially that's what we're talking about. Um, generations of kings and queens uh, and can there be a rapprochement? Can there be a healing among all of them? Hmm. The jury's out on that. I mean, that's not helpful, and I'll probably pull a card on this, but the book is the card that indicates the jury's out. Right now, everybody is, entrenched in their camps. Of course, Harry would love to see his father, talk to his father. His father's apparently not accepting his calls. We don't know where that's going to go. This is the House of Windsor, but these are the important cards. This combination, and I've said this before, I haven't had to say it often, which is a good thing. And when I tell you why, you'll know. This combination of cards, the coffin and the lily, absolutely 99.9% of the time refers to the physical death of someone. We know that Charles has got cancer. Nobody's giving any indication that it's curable. Even if he does get cured, he's older, and that we all die, right? Not to sound like Joni Ernst, oh God, but I mean, he will meet his end, um, and this speaks to that. So I'm going to draw clarifiers on these cards, as well as I think I'll draw them on all five. Okay, so trying to move it so you can see them all, but okay. Okay, I mean, it's sad. So the tree, remember, this is all of their forebears, right? All the kings and queens in their line. The British royal family from, time immemorial. And the clarifiers for here are my scales card, the sun, and then the fish. So really, this is the monarchy. Think of this as the monarchy. And the monarchy really has to weigh, um, personal affection over against danger to the monarchy. And I mean, there's no escaping it. I think it's on everybody's mind 24/7. And for them, I feel like it's really emotional. I really do. I think this is an emotionally painful thing for all of them. So now here we are with this book card. And remember, the book means invariably, sometimes not, but most of the time, things we don't know. We just don't know. But the clarifiers are the child, the crossroads, and the man. We don't know whether there will be um, a new thought about all of this that will cause Charles to have a change of mind. right now, Charles is, I think, um, acquiescing to his heir's wishes. His heir, of course, is William, and William wants nothing to do with Harry. But, you know, Charles is the one who will be leaving the planet. I mean, theoretically, right? Um, and he has started to think in some new ways. Like, I would like to see my son. I would like to meet my granddaughter. I would like to see um, my grandson Archie again. So this is what's going through his mind. And here's the House of Windsor. So this is that their little, we'll call this their little nuclear line. Nuclear in the sense of, you know, I'm going to broaden the nuclear meaning to include uh, Charles and Camilla, Harry and Meghan, uh, William and Kate, and their children. And we have the stork, clover, and the heart, which is to say, if things are going to change in a positive way for the House of Windsor, for this nuclear unit, if they are to find their way back to love for each other, it needs to happen, as I like to say, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Sometimes people wait too long to reconcile, and then they have to deal with that guilt of that their whole lives. So this is saying it needs to happen sooner rather than later. The coffin is clarified by the younger man, the letter, and the bear. I think that knowing that his father is mortal and his time on earth is limited, I think that Harry will have reached out in writing to his father, but I don't know that his father has received those missives. Because remember, it's the firm, and there have been barriers placed, official barriers placed between Harry and his father. So it's not always that his father, Charles, won't take his calls. It could very well be that there are people who come between Harry and Charles to the point where Charles doesn't even know that Harry has reached out to him because he won't have received the letter. Okay, then we have this final card, which is the lily. And remember, the coffin lily combination speaks to the death of someone. Clarifiers are the anchor, the key, and the snake. I hate that the snake is the last card because um, this feels like people being intransigent, people being people being Charles and William, being unmoving, and that Charles could be come at some point, um, when you're in the process of leaving, if you know what I mean, leaving, you know, leaving. Um, it's not the easiest thing, I don't think, to be all there, to be able to vociferously enough argue your point of view or your change of heart or whatever it is. So I think he will that these positions are quicksanded in. And then we have the snake. And I can mirror the snake with the tree. And I think the official position, and certainly the position of William and Kate, is that Harry and Meghan are a danger to the monarchy, to the throne itself. Not that Harry wants the throne or anything, but that their presence kind of serves to kind of delegitimize the monarchy, and they cannot have that. So I don't think that there will be a reconciliation before Charles goes. Now, good news is energy is mutable, and Charles is the king, not William. But Charles has to think not just like a dad, he has to also think like a monarch. And he is probably going to acquiesce to what his heir wants. His heir is William, and William wants no part of Harry. So it's very sad. I mean, these kinds of things happen in real family, not that they're not a real family, but in regular, average, everyday families as well, right? There are ruptures that are unreconciled, and that leads to all kinds of problems. Epigenetic healing does not happen. Epigenetic healing is the healing in your genes. We carry the pain of our forebears um, in our genes. Uh, and that's no less true for the royal family. But the royal family, there's a lot of blood and violence attached to that family. I mean, Henry VIII, anybody? I'm just saying. Elizabeth, the great Elizabeth, didn't she have Mary executed? So I mean, it's the done thing. I mean, this is not really that new of a thing. Anything that you think would threaten the monarchy has to go. And I think here that is Harry and Meghan. So hopefully Harry can find his footing and his peace here. Um, you know, uh, we've welcomed them in, I think, and can't win them all. Sometimes you have to let people go, especially people that don't want to be attached to you. You have to let them go. Very sad. So that's that story. Um, okay. Now I have several questions that kind of people want to sort of leapfrog us ahead, way ahead in time. And part of me feels like that these questions might be premature, but then the other part of me says, well, Erica, that's your ego saying that. So put your ego in the back seat, like I say in my book, and just let the cards answer the question. If the cards can answer the question, they will answer the question. So one of them is this. Um, we know that the drums of war are being beaten. We know that Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard were put in their positions because, according to 47, they looked the part. Like they come from central casting, is what he would say. But even he knows that they are not the smartest, most qualified knives in the drawer. So, but they are in those positions. There is nobody else in those posts, right? And so we know that Tulsi Gabbard has said to 47, yeah, nah, there's no evidence that Iran is trying to um, weaponize their nuclear uh, potential. And we know that 47 has said, I don't agree. She's wrong. Okay. Hegseth, Hegseth, you know, he wants to play toy soldier, but he's also being kept out of the room, out of the loop, out of the discussion, because he's a lightweight, and everybody knows that, including Trump. But that begs the question, well, then, who is advising him? We know that Bannon, who is, half of the MAGA contingent, right? He is against our uh, going in to Iran with our capability we have a capability, I think I mentioned this the last time, to send missiles right down into wherever they've got their bunker and sort of decommission their nuclear ability. Bannon is worried about this becoming another Iraq, where, remember, we were told that there were weapons of mass destruction in Syria, and come to find out, no, there weren't. But we fought a whole war over it, and then ended up in Afghanistan. So Bannon and that red hat MAGA crowd are against our interference here. Um, but then, you have the other side whispering in his ear, telling him, yeah, let's do it. Let's go to war. People like, that slitty-eyed um, Stephen Miller would be all for it. So he has said, 47 has said, he will make a decision in 2 weeks. And you know that his mind, he could flip-flop back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you know, hourly between now and 2 weeks from now. So that's just to remind you that energy is mutable. So I guess the first thing I want to look at is, does Iran have weapons that they could, in short order use in a nuclear holocaust kind of a way? Does that capability exist? Tulsi says no. Iran says no. But who says yes? Israel. So you know how that goes. All right. So I'm going to use the scythe, and that will stand for weapon of mass destruction. And we want to know, does Iran have that capability? Or could they, in short order, get that capability? Yeah, so this stands for nuclear weapons on the scale that we are being told Iran has. We're being told this by Trump, of course, and by Israel. Um, this would be preemptive, right? It's not, I mean, granted, Israel and Iran have traded fire back and forth, bombs and stuff like that back and forth. What Israel would like is for us to come in and, with the old 1-2 punch, um, kind of completely, uh, what's the word? Make Iran powerless. Now, Iran is not a great place, not a great place for women and others. So there's that. I mean, not that we're a great place for women, may I hasten to add. So it's hardly like we can say we're going in there because we care about the people. No, if we were to go in there and do that, it would be because 47 is doing Bibi's bidding, Bibi Netanyahu's bidding. So we have the tree, the crossroads. This is the card for nuclear capability, the garden, and the cross. So I think that it would take them a long time to weaponize what they've got in this way. They say that they have nuclear power the same way other countries have nuclear power to help their people, right? Not as a weapon, but to create light and heat and all that stuff that people need power, like a power source. Um, it would take them a long time to develop a weapon to do the damage that Israel is claiming. Also, I think that they have not gone in that direction. I think they've gone a different way because they understand that to not go another way would mean potentially the destruction of everyone. So I got to say that I'm with Tulsi. I don't think that that's what they've done. I think this is Israel being too fast off the mark, wanting to eliminate everybody around them so that they don't feel as vulnerable as they do, being in the middle of, an area where everyone around them is their enemy. They're trying to use us to do their work of obliterating an enemy. Now, here's this scythe. Cards are interesting. We have the snake, the book, and the mountain. Of course, nuclear power has the potential to be really bad, to be a real problem, to end us all. Yes. But Iran has not taken it in that direction, right? This is a mountain. They've stopped themselves from doing that, and in fact, are trying to use it to help their people, to develop infrastructure and stuff like that. But then, we have the book here. And I think that um, it's their word against Israel's word. That's the thing. And nobody, America anyway, doesn't know whom to believe. Although it looks like 47 is choosing to believe Israel. The garden. So the clarifiers for that are the ring, child, and the house. I think Iran would like humanity to continue, for children to flourish, for people to live and exist. I mean, they don't want their annihilation. So I think that they are not developing it in the way that Israel would want us to think that they are. Uh, we have this cross, and the clarifiers are the key, the young man, and the woman. So again, the argument that Netanyahu will make and that 47 will make is that, the way to address any kind of bellicosity meaning warlike urges on the part of Iran, is to cut them off at the knees, to make them yin instead of yang, to disempower them. Um, right. So, and by the way, and I mean, I'm not the first person to say this, if we were to strike them, if they are disinclined now to use nuclear power for a bad end, do you really think that a strike on them or our threat of a strike on them will cause them to say, "Oh, well, then let's not do the weapon part." Come on. I mean, Iran wants to exist as much as Israel wants to exist. So, uh, do I think that they have achieved the kind of capability that Israel is accusing them of having? I don't think so. It's not to say that they couldn't or wouldn't, but I don't think they do. I don't think they do, which is why the best um, answer to this whole situation is a negotiated um, response. But Israel doesn't want a negotiated response. Remember, if Israel can go to war with Iran, this makes Bibi a even more of a wartime president than he already is. And people don't like to get rid of wartime presidents. Don't think 47's not thinking about that too. He's got all kinds of dissension and disagreement and ugliness going on that he has fomented here in the States with his popularity dropping like a stone. He could very easily be saying, "Oh, but wait, if I'm a wartime president, people will cling to me, you know, I'll be their savior." That's how he thinks. So, his thought process is not based in any sort of peace-loving, rational um, impetus. It's purely self-interested. To say, "Oh, I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'll let you know in a couple of weeks." First of all, what an off the cuff and therefore um, disrespectful and ultimately um, vicious, and I'm trying to think of the word. What's that word? Uh, Sadistic thing for him to say. I don't know, I'll figure it out. I'll decide one way or the other. Maybe I will and maybe I won't. What are you talking about? You talking about people's children being put in danger, Americans. But okay. Uh, uh, will he make a decision and then in the last moment flip-flop? Well, we do call him Taco, do we not? That's not for nothing that we call him that. And that's why it's a little bit of a fool's errand to look at the question now, because I can say one thing and tomorrow it can be something else. It's whoever is in his ear last. If it's Bannon, then he won't go. He won't do it. If it's somebody else, he will. If it's Miller, he will. Okay. Uh, so by the way, I saw, obviously we all saw that the appeals court said it's a three-person appeals court. One of the justices was appointed by Biden, the other two by you know who, and they said he can continue to have control of the National Guard here in California. There is another hearing today by the original judge. So we'll see where that goes. But again, this could flip flop, flip flop, flip flop. And you may not care about California, but if you recall what he didn't make it the order specific to California so much. This could be something that he could do around the country. And he's just floating the balloon to see what happens. And that appeals court went his way. So that was a disappointment. But let's see what happens in the hearing today. Okay. Um, Two more questions. And again, it's definitely putting the cart before the horse, but whatever. I was asked, will JD become president at any point? Will JD Vance become president at any point? Now, if you read astrologers and other card people, if you listen to them, none of us seem to be able to see that. We know that that is the line of succession is that if something happened to 47, Vance takes over. If something happens to Vance, that little man, Mike Johnson, would take over. But what if the entire government is found to be illegitimate? Like, what if all of these inquiries into the election fraud indicate that, yeah, the whole thing was stolen. So let's throw the whole government out. Well, then what? Well, your guess is as good as mine because we've never been here before. The founding fathers never foresaw this. So let's just look. This was the question from a viewer. Will J.D. Vance become president? Ever. So I always use the younger man card for him because even though he's not necessarily young, certainly younger than 47, he has an immaturity to him. Uh, if nothing else, he seems like a young soul. Like I don't feel like he's been here too many times before. So anyway, I don't even have to give a reason. I'm just going to use the young man that will stand for Vance, and let's just look at him. And the question is, will he at some point become president? It's very clear there's no love lost between him and Trump. You also know that he is the errand boy of Peter Thiel and Curtis Yarvin, two really bad guys. If you don't know who they are, check them out. Um, they're essentially people who believe that there should be no government, or that if there is, it should be a monarchy run by a CEO. So they mean democracy no good thing. Remember, we're looking for the young man, and that will stand for Vance. Sorry, young man, but to this just for the moment, you have to stand for Vance. Well, interesting. Uh, and this is why I draw clarifiers. Okay, so we have the heart, we have the sun, we have Vance, we have the stork, and we have the star. It is certainly, absolutely, and fully his desire and intention to succeed 47. That's what he wants. He would love that. It's very clear. It's why he said yes to the vice presidency. He feels like his day is coming. So I drew some clarifiers on him, and we have the moon, we have 47, and we have the book. I think that 47 we know that they don't love each other. We also know that it was not 47's choice to pick Vance. He was kind of instructed probably by the black hat MAGA crowd to pick Vance. The Peter Thiels, the Musks, the Curtis Yarvin. Uh, but I think Vance thinks that he can make 47 think that he is on his side. He's a loyal vice president. He means him no ill. He's not trying to pull a chair out from under him. But remember, if the 25th Amendment were to be invoked, Vance is the one to invoke it. So again, he's being wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove towards this one, because he doesn't want 47 to turn on him. Because remember, the red MAGA base is faithful to 47, not to 47 and Vance. Nobody likes Vance. So we have this stork because he feels that his ship is going to come in, things are going to improve. The worse 47 gets, the better he looks. But look at the cards. We have the snake, and we have the scythe, and we have the lily. Now, here's what I think. In order to better his situation, he could easily turn on 47. To me, this feels very much like 25th Amendment. It's one of the options for how 47 leaves the stage, right? A snake in the grass, somebody who undercuts you. Undercuts who? The old man. This is the card for an old man. So that's not off the table. Vance invoking the 25th. Final card in our original line is the star, which is the card for the future. We have the scales, we have the letter, and we have the anchor. Here's what I think. These are all, so it's the future. This feels like a very legal card here, and Constitution here, and then the anchor here. I do think that just because chain of command dictates it, like let's say 47 falls down, bumps his head, and that's the end of that. Vance would take over. So, in an interim way, right? He would finish the term. Question is really, would he finish the term? Or would investigations proceed upon 47's demise into what went into the election in 2024? And would the conclusion then be uh, in 2026, let's say, that we have the midterms, which are in, by the way, 500 days. Um, and and again, they all are proved to be legitimate. So I guess the question is, so short answer, and maybe I'm bucking a trend amongst psychics, but short answer, if Trump were to pass, would Vance become the president? Short answer is yes. That's how it works. That's how it works. But would his tenure be short-lived? Now, I mean, he could fill out the term, right? Until 2028. Meanwhile, God please, God willing, and the creek don't rise, as my mother would say. Um, we win the House and Senate. At which point, yeah, fine. He can um serve out the term, but he's impotent, can't do anything because he won't have a Congress that will support him. So, assuming that something happens to 47, I don't think his health is good. I think any number of things can go wrong with him. I'm going to look at him again in July, his health. I don't want to do it prior to that, but in July, I'll take a deep dive look at 47's health. Um, but in the meantime, should his health go south, either mental, physical, or both, and should Vance take over, will Vance's tenure as president extend beyond this term, this president's term? I'm just gonna let spirit tell me what the cards are. So, in other words, is Vance's political star on the rise? Uh, Not just because he's a caretaker, but because he becomes a player in his own right and people elect him on his own. So the cards are the tower, the stork, the mountain, the star, and the bear. Now, the bear for once is not 47 because remember, we're assuming he's going to be off the stage. There are so many different timelines that could happen. Um, I think he will be out in the cold because I think we will be, as a country, in a better place, facing a better future. And that tells me that the House and Senate flip. And what tells me again also that his tenure as a caretaker president would be short-lived, the card in the center. Here he is stopped. He can't get past this mountain. So he can serve out the rest of the term, but that's as good as it's going to get for him. So there's that. Now, the last question is way premature. I've kind of looked at it before, but you know, again, I'm putting my ego in the back seat and not judging the question. I will let the cards answer the question. The question was, will 47 escape to Saudi Arabia if if election improprieties are discovered? Um, and I'll expand the question to not say just Saudi Arabia, but will he go to a foreign country? Will he exile himself to a foreign country to escape consequences should he be held accountable for impropriety? I guess we'll put it like that. Because, it could be Qatar, it could be Saudi Arabia. I mean, it could be Russia, but do you want to go to Russia? Wouldn't. So let's see. Will he leave the country, escape to the Middle East once all of this is said and done? Personally, this is my ego. I don't think he'll live that long. I really don't. But there's multiple timelines, so I will entertain this viewer's question. Will he escape to a foreign country, a Middle Eastern country, should he find himself in dire straits here? Okay. I'll let Spirit pick all the cards. I'll tell you what. Again, I don't think he will be among us. You know what I mean? Um, at that point. But anyway, we have crossroads, birds, cross, mountain, and woman. Do you know what I think? I think he would, assuming that he lives, that long, I think he would certainly be entertaining the possibility, because this is choices. And I think he would be talking to governments. Can I come there? Can I live like a prince? Uh, you know what I mean? Like an emir? Can I be, live in the lap of luxury, and can all my family come too, etc. But I look at this. We have the cross, the mountain, and the woman. I think he would be stopped before he could implement a plan like that. Either stopped or denied access. Like, in other words, we could either stop him and say, no, you can't get on that plane. Or these foreign entities can say, what good are you to us now? You have no sway. You're yin, you're not yang. So what can you do for us? We don't want you. So will he entertain the possibility? Yes. Will he talk to people whom he feels are friendly to him and his cause in the Middle East? Yes. Well, you know what? Maybe Bibi will take him, but he will not, it won't happen. It won't happen. Now, part of why I think it won't happen is I don't think he will be in the land of the living. I'm just saying. But in case he is, he will not be able to flee to a foreign country. That's not going to happen. His family might, but I don't see him being able to. I don't think we would let that plane off the ground. But beyond that, I think there may be countries that say, we said yes, but in retrospect, now that we've looking at everything, yeah, no, we're not giving you safe harbor here. So that's a no from me, from my cards. That's a no. Okay, anyway, I may be on tomorrow. Depends what goes on. But I do have a guest coming on Sunday. The video will be out in the late afternoon Pacific time. And this is someone that some of you may know, may have seen before. I think this person is great. Really like them a lot. And I know you will too. So be sure to tune in for conversations uh, on Sunday. And like I said, I may pop in tomorrow, I may not, but I did want to look at those viewer questions. Hang in there. I know that, trouble don't last always, but that water can get hot before we can step out of it. And I feel the heat just like you do. And but just, hang in there. Okay, you take care. See you soon.